Hello again, and very welcome to the section about exchanges. I think this is one of the most interesting parts of chess strategy. During the years, I have collected a lot of different examples on this topic. It's really interesting the fact that in just one move, we can cause a huge impact on the position by, for example, swapping the opponent's queen when they are attacking us, or, for example, swapping minor pieces in order to leave our opponent with a bad bishop in an endgame. So it's very important to understand the concept of exchanges when are a specific exchange favorable to me or to my opponent. We will look at a number of exchanges according to the positional objective which we are trying to achieve. So to start with, we will look at situations where we are leading in material, maybe we're a pawn up, and we will try to facilitate the process of winning the game, of converting the advantage by means of exchanges. Later on, we will have a look at how we can rely on exchanges when we have a better pawn structure, because usually it makes a lot of sense to swap pieces when your opponent has an inferior pawn structure. Later on, we will have a look at how we can use exchanges when we are attacking, for example, swapping some important defending piece in our opponent's camp, like a bishop on g7, fianchetto position. And later, we will also see the opposite case when we are defending. And for example, the opponent has a very important bishop lined up against our king, and we will try to find a way in which we can swap that bishop. We will also see how we can try to identify active pieces in a specific positions. You know, the pieces, their activity, it goes up and down during the game, and at moments where a specific piece is very active, it of course makes sense for us to eliminate that piece, to swap it for one of our pieces, which is perhaps not that active at that very moment. We will also have a look at an interesting concept, which is a series of exchanges, various exchanges in a sequence, in order to reach a favorable situation. Typically, we're speaking about leaving our opponent with a bad bishop against a good knight or something like that. Finally, we will also see a few cases where we can try to realize an exchange on a specific square on the board in order to modify the pawn structure. We can use this idea both in order to damage our opponent's pawn structure, for example, swapping their knight on f6, forcing them to take with the pawn, g takes f6, like Nigel Short used this idea against Gulko, if you remember the example we saw speaking about king safety. And we can also do kind of the opposite idea. We can try to swap pieces in a way that we repair our pawn structure. That's another complex and very interesting strategical concept. Summing up, we have a lot of things to look at here in this section about exchanges. Once again, very welcome, and see you just in a little moment.